Hey everyone, it's Uncle George, and welcome back to Let's Play Virtue's Last Reward. So, last time, I had to make 3 parts and call it 1 part, because you got the opportunity to decide whether to ally or betray Quark. And, obviously, if you've come this far, then you allied with him, because if you betrayed, well, let's just say that led to a bad ending. Go ahead and watch that if you want, just go back and select the annotations and so on. But here we are on the ally path, so let's continue on. After some discussion, Dio and Kay were assigned to the pantry, Dio and Alice to the treatment center, and Clover, Fire, and myself to the pressure exchange chamber.
では、CD 開放までの残り時間が10分になった時に、B 階の倉庫に集合ということでよろしいでしょうか。
We all nodded. Kay turned to Alice and Luna.
アリスさんとルナさんは治療室に行かれるんでしたよね。
ええ。
でしたら、天明寺さんにもこのことを伝えておいてください。
わかりました。
それから、集合時にはクオーク君を連れてくるのを忘れずに。病と戦っている最中にポットから出すのは気が引けますが、やむを得ないのです。クオーク君のバングルがなければ、シグマさんも天明寺さんも白の第二扉を開けなくなってしまいますからね。
了解よ。さあ、そうと決まれば早速行動開始だ。行こ
う With a final nod to one another, we split up, each team heading in a different direction. So we're off to the PEC, the pressure exchange chamber. There it is. This place is super interesting. That's sarcasm for you.
いや、正確に言うと、減圧準備室だな。この部屋は2層構造になっていて、減圧室は下の方にあるらしい。
どうして知ってるの？
アリスから聞いたんだよ。アリスはこの部屋を探索した3人のうちの1人だからな。そうだ。
そうだね。
そうらしいな。これもアリスからの受け売りなんだが。
Apparently, the pressure inside the facility was a lot higher than the pressure outside. That was part of a system designed to keep the virus from getting in. It did mean, however, that we'd need to go through a decompression process in order to get outside.
ほら、準備室の壁際にずらりと防護服が並んでただろう。あれはウイルスの感染を防ぐためのもので、あれを着てこの減圧室に入らないと外には出られないんだとさ。残念ながらその可能性は高いと言わざるを得ないな。あ
あ。ねえ、もう一つ気になったことがあるんだけど、聞いてもいい？
なんだ？
さっきのファイの話によると、防護服を着てこの減圧室に入れば外に出られるってことにならない？
ああ、それはダメらしい。
Yeah, that's a very obvious hole that has been very obviously plugged. I don't know if we're going to see it in this part, but we will be coming back to this room later in the Let's Play and treating it as a puzzle room, and you'll be able to see why we can't exactly just walk outside. Oh no, there we go.
減圧室の奥の方にある扉、がっちりと溶接されてて開かないみたいなんだ。
That's welded shut there, so good luck getting that open.
それを言うなら、Q の扉だって同じだろう。まあとにかく、今はアクセラビルを探す方が先だ。クオークを助けてやらないと。
そうだね。
それでは私は、上の準備室の方を調べてみる。シグマと四つ葉は、 この回を頼む。
了解。
We looked everywhere we could think of, but turned up nothing. Eventually I couldn't keep my mouth shut any longer.
お前らウイルスが蔓延してるなんてニュース聞いたことがあるのか？
それはないけど、でも
ウイルスがばらまかれるという情報なら耳にしたことがあるわ。
Clover was quiet for a long time. She bit her thumbnail and looked down at the floor. Then finally she lifted her head and met my eyes.
わかったよ。シグマは信用できる人みたいだし、教えてあげる。その代わり、私が言ったってこと、アリスには絶対内緒だからね。
In other words, yeah, okay, I can't keep my mouth shut any longer, okay, but don't tell my superior who who doesn't want me talking to anyone.
約束してくれる？
Clover nodded and began to talk. I listened with rapt attention, at a complete loss for words. Here's what she said. I'm not going to put on a voice for this. Alice and I are agents of the SOIS, which is under the jurisdiction of the Department of Defense. SOIS stands for Special Office of Internal Security, and we're an elite intelligence division that investigates potentially disruptive or dangerous elements, such as domestic or foreign terrorists, radical political splinter groups, and religious organizations with extreme agendas that could pose a threat to the state or citizenry. Our existence hasn't been made public, so there are only a few people who even know we exist. You're probably wondering how I even got involved in something like that, huh? Well, it started when I met Alice. I told you that I've played the Nonary game twice before, right? Well, this was after the second time, so about a year ago. We'd just escaped, and we were all stuffed into this SUV barreling across the desert. I was driving, and that's when I saw her. Alice. She was standing next to the road with her thumb out. She was already working for the SOIS. She'd been on her way to the building we'd been trapped in as part of her investigation. But on the way there, her car had broken down. We offered to give her a ride, of course. After she got in, we started talking, and it turned out that Alice had gotten a tip that the terrorists she was after were in the building we'd been trapped in. We couldn't see how us playing the Nonary game had anything to do with the terrorists. But Alice had a suggestion. Maybe the two people who trapped you in there are the terrorists. That didn't seem very likely to us, but we were chasing after them anyway, so we decided to bring Alice with us. And, you know, to be nice to someone whose car had broken down in the middle of the desert and had no other way out. Unfortunately, we didn't find them. As far as we know, they're still out there now, on the run. Anyway, we were taken back to SOIS headquarters. I can't say it right for some reason, and put into custody. I guess they thought there had to be some kind of connection between us being kidnapped and the terrorist group they were investigating. But they must not have found anything, because after a few days of questioning, they let us go. We all went home and returned to our lives. But things didn't go back to the way they'd been. My mum got real worried about me and my brother, since we'd gotten kidnapped twice now, so she hired bodyguards for us. I would say that's going a bit extreme, but yeah, being kidnapped twice, you do start to get a little bit paranoid. Oh, I haven't told you about my brother, have I? He's super awesome for one. And if you've played the previous game, by the way, yes, her brother is super awesome. He was in both of the last two nonary games too. So anyway, we'd been grabbed twice. But the people behind the two nonary games were totally different. That didn't matter to my mum though, so after that, all these huge men in black suits followed me and my brother everywhere. It was awful. We were always being watched. People would look at us funny because we were being followed around by a bunch of creepy looking guys. I couldn't stand it. Just when I thought I'd finally be free, all that was waiting for me was another kind of prison. The only time I was really happy was when I was hanging out with my brother. So we were talking it over one day, and we decided to leave. Like, run away. So we did it. After that, we lived on our own. I worked in a cafe, and he composed music. He plays the harp, and he started writing this kind of new agey music. It got kind of popular, so he didn't have to worry too much about surviving. Sometimes he'd play at little venues, like coffee houses and stuff, and his fans would show up and listen to him play and cry. I assumed that the fans cried and not him, but you never know, he could be playing and crying. Or some of them would meet on their own and recite stuff from the book he'd written and play his songs. I know that sounds kind of like weird and culty, but they just do that stuff on their own, okay? My brother doesn't have anything to do with it. Yeah, that's fan bases for you. Anyway, we did that for a while, and then one day Alice showed up. I need your help, she told us. We need people who can do what you can do. So we went to the location she gave us, and it turned out to be the headquarters of the SOIS, where they'd taken us after the second nonary game. They put us in a room with about a dozen or so other people who were all about the same age as us. A bunch of them looked familiar too. It only took a moment to realise how we knew each other. They were the kids from the first nonary game. Again, all of this first nonary game stuff gets explained in the previous game in the series, so you know, go play that if you want some explanation of why they're all connected and what they can do. Although I think the special quality that Clover and her brother have will be discussed at some point during this game. Not sure when, but at some point. We were all excited to see each other again, and we were hugging and shaking hands and stuff. And then Alice walked in. The whole room went quiet. She walked up to the podium and looked around the room, making eye contact with each one of us. Right now, a terrorist organization is preparing for a major attack. They plan to trigger a viral pandemic. If they succeed, they will strike a massive blow against all of humanity, not just any one country. It's possible that we, as a species, will die out completely. We are doing our best to prevent this, but we need your help. You are what we call espers. You have the ability to access the morphogenetic field. We need that. Okay, we are going to get an explanation of the BS psychic powers thing that goes on in this series of games. Anyway, I'm guessing you don't know what any of that is. Basically, we can do this thing that's kind of like telepathy. I mean, it isn't really telepathy, but that's probably the closest thing, okay? Espers can resonate their consciousness with another person through this thing called the morphogenetic field. The purpose of the first nonary game was to research that ability. So they kidnapped kids who had the potential to do it and threw them into the game. Alice had gathered up all the kids from that experiment. Well, I mean, it's been 9 years since it happened, so we weren't really kids anymore. Anyway, everybody she'd brought in was an Esper. That included me and my brother, of course. I bet you think I'm just making all this up, huh? I don't blame you. It is pretty crazy. I mean, I was even starting to forget I could do that stuff. So when I heard Alice's story, I was like, screw that! I was trying to move on with my life, and now some shady government creeps wanted me to use some weird ability I had for them. No way. Yeah, you go, Clover. I wasn't even sure I could do it anymore. Some of the others felt differently, though, and they told Alice they'd do it. Oh, good for them, I suppose. You know, make your own decision. It was a job after all, and most people wouldn't turn down a salary like that. Alright, I forgot to tell you. She told us how much they'd pay us if we helped. It was a lot. More wealth than you could imagine. But I was still totally against doing it. My brother told me he'd go along with whatever I decided, so I decided we were leaving. A couple of days passed, then Alice showed up at our apartment. she told us that we weren't allowed to live knowing what we know, and healed us. No, obviously she didn't, but it's kind of offer you can't refuse sort of territory you feel like is going to come up here. She didn't waste time. The people behind the first notary game might have been part of the terrorist organisation Alice and the SOIS were after. Wasn't that, she asked, something that I might want to know more about? Oh, okay, so it's emotional blackmail rather than a straight-up death threat. That got me curious. My brother too. But the clincher was what Seven said to us. He was one of the guys that got abducted with us for the second notary game. She called him on her phone right then and there and handed it to us. Wow. You guys are the only people who can do this. We don't know where Junpei is. He's gone off to travel the world, looking for Akane. I haven't been able to get a hold of him. Please, just do me a favour and help Alice out. Junpei and Akane, again, they're people to do with the previous game. Play it if you're curious. Oh, there we go. Junpei is, like Seven, another participant from the second notary game. Akane is one of the people behind the second notary game. Seven was a Japanese policeman, which was probably how Alice got in touch with him. Anyway, that did it. My brother and I agreed to join the SOIS. For the next couple of months, all we did was train. Half of the time it was general knowledge and technical skills an SOS agent needed, and the other half was learning to strengthen our Esper abilities. None of this physical fitness stuff, you don't need that. They'd actually known about Espers for quite a while, and had a lot of techniques that helped us get better and stronger. After several months of hard work, we were finally ready for our first field missions. Mine was an infiltration. My brother stayed at the base, so I could relay information back through him. I was supposed to sneak into a research facility, posing as one of their workers, and then use the morphogenetic field to transmit what I found back to my brother. But, so basically they're using these kids who have psychic powers as radio systems without the radio. Everything went wrong. It was a trap. The whole research facility was fake, and I got captured. Alice had to come and rescue me. I've been sending information about the inside of the facility to my brother, and Alice used that information to come and find me. As soon as she got there, she picked me up and carried me out. I was relieved and happy to be alive and free, but I also felt ashamed and miserable. Well, it's not your fault that it was a huge trap sent to set someone up. You just happened to be the person that they sent in there, but you hardly did all the research to, you know... the fact is, you know, it's everyone's fault but yours. While she was carrying me back out, I started to cry. She was just so cool, and I wasn't. I wanted to be just like her, which is why I took off all my clothes. So from that day onward, I did everything I could to be more like Alice. Yeah, like taking off all her clothes. Our infiltration ended in failure, but we did manage to get something useful. In fact, we were able to figure out where their headquarters was. The directors decided that December 25th, 2028 would be the day we would strike. This time, I promised myself we wouldn't screw it up. I was finally going to get some answers about something that had been with me for most of my life. Wait, the all-important day that you're going to strike against the terrorist group is Christmas Day. I mean, surely people in the base and on the mission are going to be distracted by the fact that it's Christmas, and the terrorists probably aren't going to be distracted by the fact that it's Christmas. So that's a horrible, terrible decision of a day to put it on. Anyway, but then on December 22nd, 3 days before the raid, Alice and I were attacked by people in gas masks while we were going over our plans. Okay, well that's been a really long explanation, and it turns out to be a bit longer than I thought, but nonetheless it's made for a good amount of time for a part. So next time, I don't even know what's going to happen next time. Next time we're going to continue on with the game. That's what we're going to do next time. So thanks for watching everyone, and bye-bye.